be strong in the Force is one thing, but to believe oneself to be all-powerful is to invite catastrophe. Remember that even in the ethereal realm we inhabit, the unforeseen can occur.
To be strong, to be powerful, to be knowledgeable is good. But it must be balanced. It must be holistically kept in check. It must be assisted with humility. Thus, to deem oneself all-knowing, to deem oneself all-powerful, is to invite catastrophe. Welcome to Monad of Creation, episode 21. A lot has been learned, a lot has been integrated, and a lot has been shifted and changed. Formerly, episode 21 was going to be called Angelic Disgust, where I talk about the importance of not getting angry, maintaining engaged detachment, and maintaining total control over your frequency, thoughts, energy, and behavior, and the root causal factors of what creates disgust in a being. Angelic disgust. Disgust, which is valid in the eyes of true, genuine, authentic behaviors, perspectives, whatever. But I recorded about a 45-minute episode, realized how utterly redundant I was being, how utterly repetitive I was being, how much I was beating a dead horse. And I deleted the whole entire episode. This was about 2 weeks ago. And I realized I was being repetitive, I was being stagnant, and ultimately I was not being stagnant, I was decaying. I stopped. And when you stop, there's no such thing as stagnancy, you decay. Because ultimately, stagnancy is a comfortable illusion for people who don't want to admit that they're not evolving. That being said, a lot of changes for the work have happened. A lot of changes for myself have happened. My eternal self, my incarnate identity. And it's going to affect a lot of things. Irrelevant. Today's topic is on spirit, God, the ineffable creator of all, the unseen, flowing energy that is imbued, at least to a certain percentage, in all creation and all reality. On Instagram, I made a small statement, which was, both atheism and spirituality do not exist. Someone asked me to elaborate, and I deleted their comment because I both didn't have the time, or honestly care to elaborate an Instagram DM. And I also knew that if I did elaborate, it would have to be in a long format. So yes, here we are. What is God? What is spirit? What is the creator of all? What is the Big Bang? the theory of the Big Bang? What is the theory of existence? What are the theories of existence? What are the theories and ideas about the creator of existence, the creation of existence, the beginning of all realities, all realities, which together make one reality? So, atheism is the religion, the schism of saying there is no God, there is no creator, there is no spirit, right? And this is honestly a reactionary to the, obfuscated and often silly ideas that cultural religions, the typical religions make. The ideas and doctrines and rules and stories, the stories they create. Atheism is ultimately a reaction to the nonsense of the orthodox religions. And so is spirituality, honestly. Lukewarm spirituality, New Age ideas, even lukewarm esotericism. People who say they seek spirit and actually do not achieve the knowing of spirit. The seeking of truth, esoteric truth, the gold within all things. Without going too far into it, because that's not the topic I want to talk about, atheism and spirituality are simply both terms, labels, worldviews people like to say they are or abide by, that are opinions of all that is, opinions of reality, opinions of truth. And of course, they both have their different modalities. They both have their different tendencies towards life, approaches towards life. And the reason I say they don't exist is not because I think they're wrong. It's not because I'll even say they're wrong. They're both valid perspectives, but they don't exist simply because atheism, people who gravitate towards atheism, atheists, and spirituality, spiritual people who gravitate towards spiritual ideas and lifestyles, they're all enveloped in the same structure, the same structures of reality. They're all a part of the same systems. They're all a part of the same disharmonic co-creation. The co-resonant co-creation. We're all a part of the same thing. We're not a part of each other. When individuated, we all have our individuation. We're all a part of the same reality, regardless of the subjective experiences we've all had. So ultimately, atheists and spiritual people are all, quote unquote, spiritual, quote unquote, spiritual. Because after all, spirit is within all reality. It's within everything. So, to answer your question, Instagram account holder who asked me to elaborate, I chose not to elaborate because I wasn't going to waste your time or my time in Instagram DMs. And this is something I've needed to talk about for a long time. So as I flow in my path and make my conscious, decisive choices to act, I decided to ignore and delete your message, not even interact with you, and come onto this platform and make an actual talk about it. Atheists and spiritual people are the same. They're human beings trying to figure out what reality is, and oftentimes all of them have erroneous ideas that don't make much sense from certain perspectives. Like I've said before, and I will continue to say, the monad of creation perspective may not make sense to many individuals, but that's irrelevant once more. What is God? So, God, the typical term for God is, the creative force or the creative consciousness, the creator of all that is and all that ever has been. And the ideas of God there are very many ideas of what God is, why God is, and how God manifests. And going back thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years, billions of years, human beings have not had a very solid idea of what God is. In mainstream society, with mainstream ideas, often the more accurate, I'll use that term now, the more accurate interpretations of what God is, of what spirit is, have been hidden. They've been hidden. Those ideas have been hidden time and time again. Why have they been hidden? The ones that make a little more holistic sense. The ideas about God that make reality a more enjoyable yet serious existence. So, God is not truly known on the conscious level for the majority of humanity. Stories are. There's either a story about what God is, plenty of those. You've got plenty of books about what God is, plenty of stories with plenty of rules about how to be. Curated and written by men who had their own subjective, often erroneous ideas of what human nature is. Lots of stories about what God is. Lots of stories. And then you've got a lot of hot takes about what God is not. And a lot of perspectives that there is no God. And these perspectives that there is no God are often based in 5 sense illusion, bodily identification, body identification, and extreme dogmatic, rigorous, scientific ideas that become so dogmatic that they become religious all over again. So you have the religion of scientism, where we worship the white lab coats. We are God now. And you have the religion of the priest class and the stories, and the man with the beard in the sky damning at its will, his will. Another camp is the camp of the very many deities of the ancient past, all being valid, yet still way above humans, way above our level of intelligence. We can never rise to that level of intelligence. all the pantheons of Samaria, Greece, Egypt, all of them. But guess what? Even within the polytheistic ideas, humans are still worshipping. They're still less than. They're still asking for help. They're still asking for guidance, asking for admiration and love and quick fixes. They're still asking, they're still needing, they're still lacking, and they're still worshiping deities above them that are leaps and bounds better, more evolved, and have all the answers for us. And we wait around once more. Humanity waits around once more for the fallen, light beings, the disincarnate spirits to come and save us, right? The angels, come and save us, angels. We're lowly humans, we don't know any better. The aliens, right? The UFO movement, waiting around for the aliens to come and save them. Y'all got saviors, Almost every human idea has some form of being saved, and those could all be called gods, saviors, false idols, right? So what's this? I will make a firm statement in this. What's this distorted constant of what God is? Something above, something to be less than, something to wait on, something to ask and need and beg for love, comfort, advice, help, evolution, whatever. Whether it's, new age ideas about ascension, ascension wiki pages about ascension, there's always some sort of energetic pulling with this idea of God that's either creating ego, lack, or subservience. So I don't even use the term God anymore because the word God isn't even something I want to go near at this point in human history. I don't even want to utter the word God because almost everyone you talk to will have some sort of idea or preconceived, held, deep opinion that they hold religiously about God. Hence why this episode is about spirit. So we're moving on from what is God, the question what is God, to what is spirit. Because if I ever do use the word God, I'm talking about eternal, immutable spirit. Eternal, immutable spirit. It's eternal, it's everlasting, omnipotent, everywhere at all times. Eternal, immutable, constant, always has been, always will be, spirit. The energetic substance that is imbued to a certain degree within all things, all manifest reality. That is what the voice running and hosting the Monad of Creation podcast refers to when the term spirit is used, when the term God happens to putridly and pathetically come out. Because that's a misleading term and concept at this point. So, God, spirit, whatever. Eternal, immutable spirit, the substance, the energetic substance within all things. And all things have a certain percentage, whether it's 0.00000000001% of eternal, immutable spirit within them flowing, or 100%, and they're in total alignment within eternal, immutable spirit. So, I'm not going to say eternal, immutable spirit every time. Going forward, I'll just say spirit when I talk about this concept. And Sure, you could call this a spiritual concept, but I will stop you in your tracks and say, no, it is not a spiritual concept. I am not spiritual. I'm not aligned with spiritually oriented ideas. I'm aligned with ideas based in proper seeking discernment and devotion to truth and eternal self. Immersed in reality, simply existing. Eternal immutable spirit is not some out there concept or idea. It's actually a thing that has been wiped from the memory of contemporary humans. It's been wiped through all sorts of not so great technologies, energetic and physical technologies for a very long time. This holistic approach to God is, for all it's worth, lost within most ideas on the planet, with most ideas with the species. So what is God? Everyone has their own take. I'm not going to tell you what God is. I'm not going to tell you what spirit is. I'm not even going to care about teaching you what that is. To me, it's eternal, immutable spirit that flows within all things to at least a very small degree. And you know what? The physical expression, the physical matter, all things ultimately are a part of spirit. So when it's talked about the percentage of how it's flowing through all things, the inanimate microphone that I'm speaking to right now, sure, it's an inanimate object. It's not animated with life, but it comes from reality. It comes from materials. It comes from all that is and always has been. It's a component of this reality. When I talk about the percentage at which spirit is flowing, I'm talking about sentience. And at 0.000000001% of spirit flowing, and interacting with beings, that behavior and that type of consciousness is vastly different from beings, sentient, living creations. Very different from those that are flowing and in alignment with spirit to the fullest. That 100% alignment often fluctuates even within true devotees. Beings who've stepped into actual service, they still have to check themselves. They still have to stay aware of what they're doing, what they're running, how they're doing, how they're operating, why. So that brings us to the next section on this. Why spirit? Why? Why seek spirit? Why find out? Why seek truth? Those two statements might as well be the same thing, because as long as you're accurately and holistically and healthily discerning and seeking truth, immutable truth, all that is and all that ever has been, objective reality, with your subjective experience in mind balanced with that, as long as you're doing the holistic seeking process, as long as you are following your path with actual devotion to truth, knowledge, love, respect of free will choice, you will realize there is spirit. Everybody still at that level might have their own interpretation of it. But the constant will often be that it's within all life, within all creation, no matter who is being spoken of, what is being spoken of. Spirit is present everywhere. So even if you're at the beginning of your journey, your seeking journey, your path of self-actualization, eternal self-discovery, and which honestly you should be seeking external truths to the fullest and discerning, healthy discernment, actual grounded, healthy, holistic intelligence. If it's not abundantly clear yet, eventually there will be some questions about what spirit is and why creation is created, why there's manifest expression within life forms, why there is experience. Why is there experience? Then the question will come, why spirit? So from a newcomer's perspective, someone who is just maybe leaving the voting booth saying this doesn't make much sense. This contemporary totally artificial, blatantly artificial civilization that at least the first world is fed, Western civilization, at least, it's almost everywhere. Babylon's reach knows no bounds. So, you might, even if you're tuning in and just realizing that things are a little bit silly and not making much sense, when you're being completely honest with yourself and you're not lying to yourself anymore and you're seeking more. If you're tuning in now and God is just, this man in the sky or a bunch of light beings in the sky, or hell, Zeta Reticuli that seem to be the only profound, odd anomaly within the answers you're given. Whether you're at that first step of discovery and seeking, or you are honestly done. You're done seeking. You're done seeking knowledge that's outside of you, and you are actually on the path of eternal self-remembrance. No matter what stage you're at, spirit is a constant variable. No matter who you are and no matter what you are, spirit is a constant variable, and especially within truth seekers, that is, if not the biggest question, what is existence? What is the spark, the initial spark of all manifest realities? So why seek spirit? Well, spirit ultimately implies that there is immutable, constant, generative, unconditionally loving energy, frequency, thought, care in reality as a component of reality. There comes a point where the very nature of existence is a blatant, obvious byproduct of unconditional love. No matter how much suffering is present, no matter how much nonsense and silly games are happening, there still becomes a very evident truth that the very nature of things existing, things being a part of all that is reality, implies generative creation, generative reason for said existence. Unconditional love, with choice being the crux of it all. Choice being the crux of it all. That is the modality of expression, action, and creation. But the first initial, unutterable, ineffable creation, that first spark, is something many beings, especially incarnate individualization, incarnate individuals, that is a truth that will most often forever be a mystery. But the mysteries are good. The mysteries encourage seeking. The mysteries encourage constant awareness and observation, detective work, if you will, discerning all that is. So why spirit? Why care about spirit? Often it is an aid, it's an assistance. It will assist. Only if your willpower and your free will choices are in alignment with love, unconditional, in alignment with the respect of others, the respect of all creation, the respect of all beings everywhere, and the respect of yourself, respecting yourself. Because if all existence is a part of a generative, loving creation, then it's all to be revered, at least to the point of not abusing with your choices. So if your willpower, your behavior is in alignment, spirit can assist. I'm not going to tell you how. It's different for everybody. There are a lot of constant similarities within everyone's experience, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you what. It's for you to discover. But I will tell you that alignment with spirit via your choices and behavior, it's not a crutch. It's not for assistance. It's simply for holistic existence. You don't seek assistance. You don't seek help. You seek holistic existence. Why spirit? Well, there's no savior mentality involved in this. There's no crutch. There's nothing of the sort. It's this innate knowledge, this innate knowing of something beyond where you're at, something beyond where you are now, that inspires the evolution towards generative existence, while maintaining this paradoxical understanding that nothing matters, yet everything does. So you can sit in a dark room with little to nothing on your side. Sit in that dark room in stillness and feel, truly feel all that is. Truly feel spirit. And your relationship and connection to all that is. Your relationship and connection to spirit, to yourself, to others, to things. Why spirit? It's not for help, for a crutch, for a savior. It is not for comfort. It is not for knowing everything. It is not even for enlightenment. simply to be holistically balanced and eventually transcended states of consciousness and existence. And to know that everything you perceive is a part of one overarching, all-encompassing reality. All realities create one objective reality with structure and dynamics. This is science. This is true science. This seeking and eventually knowing and continually seeking of truth. And aligning with spirit via knowing your eternal self. Letting go of your artificial, little, egoic, misled, often decaying self. Your little self. Your little self serves the world. The little putrid desires, not the holistically grounded and transcended, pure desires. So, often humans like to disagree and debate on why spirit, why God, my God, right? No God. And it's honestly a cosmic joke. The cosmos is weeping, smiling, laughing, and crying, as I like to say. Because honestly, if people just sat in stillness and brutal honesty for one moment out of all their days until they can transcend anything that's not ultimately serving, they would realize there's not much to worry about, yet there is so much to be done and so much to be said. So the disagreeing on what God is, if there's God, scientism only. Because if you're honest with yourself, in the mainstream circles, especially universities and schools, the majority of what is doctrine and truth there is religion, based in the worship of the white lab coat, worship of the clergy, of scientific boards. It's no different than Orthodox Christianity and Catholicism. It's no different than any religion. It's dogmatic. So why spirit? True holistic seeking and knowing of spirit eradicates all dogma, illusion, control, fixation, decay, and ultimately suffering. Because when you're hit with that harsh, brutal, sometimes violent speck of reality that should create immense suffering in the average contemporary human, when in devotion and alignment to truth and eternal spirit, you feel it viscerally, you know it viscerally, yet you don't let it. You don't let the situations at hand break you, wear you down, turn you into a decaying sufferer. Yes, as they say, you might be shit out of luck, down and out, not in a great situation, but you keep going, keep making choices based in unconditional love and evolution. Sure, there are many states of perception, many states of growth, many perspectives and types of beings that deal with things many different ways, so many different ways, This is not to be black and white. Black and white is often obfuscation. Black and white ideologies. My way or the highway ideologies and ideas, and teachings, very misleading. Franticness, fear, and control are not in alignment with eternal spirit. So why spirit? Because it honestly offers abundance, evolution, and symbiosis. The mournful congregation of whatever dogma, doctrine, cult it partakes in, the congregation weeps as individuals transcend the dualistic, little self-serving, harmful doctrines, ideas, and behaviors of the cult. They weep and mourn as individuals leave the fixation and control towards holistic knowing. Yes, based in spirit. Whether they know it or not, it's based in spirit. The dogma, fixation, control, know-it-all mentality, it's got at least 0.00001% of eternal spirit. But those individuals leaving the dogma, leaving the fixation and control and frantic nature of things, those individuals leaving and walking the path towards transcendence and eternal internal knowing, whilst respecting free will choice of all sentient minds, all beings everywhere, those individuals contain most often at least 50% eternal spirit flowing, and it's their path that will take them to that 100%, which needs to be calibrated, recalibrated, checked, and respected at all times. This one topic that I am speaking on could be talked about throughout the entire show, going on into eternity, into the future, forever. It could, because it's ever present, always relevant. And you know what? It will be talked about throughout, because as I've stated, eternal spirit is everywhere. It's immutable, ever present. So how? We've talked about the what is God/eternal spirit. We've talked about why spirit. How? How do you? Well, the holistic intelligence episode, the paradox of intelligence, almost everything I've transmitted here aids in the how to find spirit. How to know spirit, I should say. How to know spirit. Consciously, on a conscious level, how to know spirit and feel spirit with clarity and intuition. How? Well, the first step is to really ask yourself and discern and perceive accurately the state of things, the state of human nature, the state of yourself, the state of those around you, the state of all that is. Step into awareness, conscious awareness, via clarity and healthy discernment. And be consistently an observer, constantly an observer of yourself and everything. Once you intuit, you step into the realm of discernment and clarity. and then receptivity, and you holistically know and feel. The how is a whole entire lesson that each has to discover on their own. The how is everything. It's the modality of being, of existence, of life. The how. So when speaking on how to know spirit, well, there's aspects of self, there's aspects of eternal self, aspects of your consciousness and your mind, your being, your soul, your human even. It's all holistic. It's all important. There are aspects that already do know. It's just reining in that innate, indwelling conscious thought and knowledge of spirit to the conscious mind, the conscious will, the conscious choices. The how to do that is a lifelong lesson. And it greatly involves not betraying yourself. It greatly involves not lying to yourself. It entirely revolves respecting others and respecting yourself via the respect of choice, the free will choice of all individuals. So stop betraying yourself. Stop hiding yourself. Stop ignoring yourself. The betraying of, hiding of, and ignoring of your eternal self, your true nature, is a main path towards decay, towards death of energy, thought, identity. The respecting, discovering, and knowing of your eternal, true self is a vital path towards evolution and generative abundance. The respecting, discovering, and knowing of eternal truth's true self, which is in alignment with love, unconditional, and truth, is a vital path towards evolution and generative abundance. Intuit and know spirit. Intuit and know constantly. This is the observer perspective. The awareness of dynamics and structure is of deep importance here. This is a science. And there is misinformation, obfuscation, and lies being had and said throughout all contemporary human history, throughout the majority of the human lineage, which is very ancient. So, I was not going to create an episode till April. It is now March 25th. Yet things pop into my fields, come into my path that tell me, I need to take action. So if this was of use to you, follow the Telegram where I have daily, often daily, sometimes I take breaks, I have thoughts on there. Follow the Telegram, link in description. Instagram, of course. And if you want to support the work, check out the Patreon with monthly support and access to my one and only workshop. As of now, one and only workshop. $7.77 a month. in eternal gratitude and unconditional love and respect to all. Thank you so much. And respect yourself. Check yourself. Know your eternal self.